What's up, guys? Dave here with Deranged Off-Road. Last week, I had a little experience. It was a good reminder to me of how important it is to be prepared. All in all, it was pretty eventful. However, for a couple minutes, I had that gut punch feeling of being completely unprepared. My buddy and I went for a dirt bike ride last weekend, and we ended up in the mountains out in the southwest desert. If you're unfamiliar with that area, just know that these mountains are pretty barren. No trees, no shade, no water, and we definitely didn't see any people out there. Anyways, we just got done climbing a pretty long, rocky trail when all of a sudden, at the top, my buddy stops because something didn't feel right with his bike. Well, turns out he ended up with a pinch flat on his front tire. It's in those moments we discovered just how unprepared we really were. We're miles from the truck, no cell phone service, no tools, no extra tubes, no pumps, no nothing. Only thing we had was 2 camel packs with some water, and that was it. For a moment, I had that feeling of, now what? Don't get me wrong, I'm probably making this sound a little more dramatic than it actually was. We were able to just turn around and ride back, although a lot slower. This front tire never came off the bead, so everything turned out just fine. We just had to cut our ride short. However, if the situation was just a little bit different, it honestly could have been a very different story. So, this got me thinking about riding safety and some things we should probably all do to avoid bad situations out on the trail. Our goal should always be to return home, hopefully unbroken and in one piece. So what kinds of things can we do to ensure that we're going to make it back? I kind of put some things down. We'll go through those. I think on the top of my list, first and foremost, number 1 is vehicle maintenance. Probably the most important thing here is definitely keeping up on that. My dad was a helicopter mechanic in the Army, and after the Army, he was a fixed-wing mechanic for many years, and he managed different shops, all kinds of different things. In those industries, what I learned from him and what he basically pounded into our heads when we were kids is that preventative maintenance is always the key to having successful experiences. It's also the key to avoiding a lot of troubles out on the trail, whether you're driving a Jeep, a side-by-side, dirt bike, anything like that. Before every ride, we need to be checking oil, tire pressure, belts, suspension components, those types of things. And after each ride, I find when I'm detailing the machine and cleaning things, I find that's also a great time to be rechecking a lot of those things, looking for loose bolts, checking suspension pieces, looking over your wheels and tires. A lot of times you could come back with a dented or bent up wheel and you wouldn't even know it. Or you could have a cut in a tire that looks like it could go at any time. It's definitely very important to do a pre-trip and a post-trip. Don't let one of these things surprise you by finding out about it on your next trip out on the trail. Number 2, whenever possible, don't go out alone, especially if you're going to some place unfamiliar to you. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's always a little more fun to have people going with you. It's nice to have a passenger, but it's also even better to have a second vehicle in case things go bad. If you must ride alone, there are some things you should do to save yourself some trouble. One of those things, make sure somebody responsible knows your plan. Give them an idea of where you're going, when you plan to be back, and then stick to your plan, especially if you have no way to communicate once you're gone. Last weekend on our ride, we couldn't even make a call if we wanted to. Cell phone service is non-existent out there in the desert. Once you leave civilization, that's it. I think if you do a lot of riding by yourself, you probably ought to get one of those devices that allows you to be tracked by GPS and allows you to communicate via satellite. There's a lot of different things out there, the most common being the Garmin InReach. With that, you have two-way text communication and location tracking. That way, somebody can actually log on to the account and see where you're at in real time. And if you get in a bad spot, you can get the cavalry rolling to save your bacon. I think it would be a very good thing to have. So number 4, take things with you that will get you out of a situation. Lots of examples and pack out lists that can give you an idea of what to take with you. Bare minimum, you should probably take enough food and water to keep you alive for a week. However, you should probably be a little more prepared than just that. We've actually got a really good video we did a couple of years ago about such a thing, and Garrett and I laid out our pack out list on the table, and it was kind of just showing you everything that we had put together at that time to take on our rides with us. It's definitely not a comprehensive list of everything that you could ever need, but it was what we had come up with at that time. Check the comments in that video, and there's a lot of other good stuff in there of what other people have added to. My personal philosophy is to take whatever I need to be as little of a burden to somebody else. If there's nothing I hate more than inconveniencing other people because I was unprepared. It's literally my worst nightmare. I don't know. Some people seem to live that way constantly. They seem to be opposite. They don't mind burdening other people. I can't handle it. Drives me nuts. Doesn't mean I won't help other people, but I don't want to be the one needing help. It's kind of funny. It's not actually funny at all. I watched a YouTube video yesterday where this guy on a dirt bike was leading a group of his friends on a ride to some place he had never been. He said it in his video a couple times. He purposely didn't fuel up his motorcycle all the way because he wanted to save a couple pounds on his motorcycle. Like, he was concerned about having too much weight. None of them took enough water for the day either. So they're going out in the desert. This is out by Las Vegas. They're going out in the desert on a ride. He purposely doesn't bring enough fuel. They got in a bad situation out there longer than they thought they were going to be, so none of them had enough water. So this guy, the leader of the group, knowing he was out of gas, or going to be soon, he decided to turn around and go back. He said, I'm going to go get water. I'll bring it back. Dude wasn't prepared, didn't have even gas in his car, at his car. So what did he do? He found a gas can in the back of some random stranger's truck, and he borrowed some gas. All of that could have been avoided had this guy been prepared. Why he's stealing gas out of somebody's gas can because he's unprepared. He says he's very sorry, blah blah blah. He didn't say that he left any money on the dude's windshield wiper or anything like that. So not a cool move. Anyways, don't be a burden. Be prepared. Know where you're going. Don't do stupid shiz. All right, next thing on my list is don't take unnecessary risks. Usually following your gut instinct, it's going to serve you well. We all like to have fun, but let's not cross that line where fun turns into a disaster. You see it all the time on Facebook videos. It's like, who can climb the biggest hill, that kind of stuff. That stuff's not for me. I don't really care. And for the love of all that's holy, people, stop drinking and driving. Are you such a boring person you can't have fun unless you got a beer in your hand while driving down the road? I hear excuses all the time. Well, I'm only going like 5 miles an hour. I don't really care. Do you drink a beer while you're cruising 5 miles an hour in your neighborhood? If you do, you're a trashy person. Stop doing it. Anyways, those are just a few of my thoughts on what we can do in these situations. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this one. I apologize for showing a whole bunch of old rehash video with a voiceover on it, but fact of the matter is that's all I could get done this week. Wasn't able to get out and ride and do anything like that. But at the same time, I also think summer's here. It's a good reminder for all of us to be as prepared as possible and to be as safe as possible. All right. Thanks for your support. Thanks for watching, guys. Until the next one, have a good day.